Hello, random YouTube people. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about draining your hot water tank. Stick around. Subscribe. We drain the hot water tank every 6 months as recommended to flush out all the sediment buildup from the anode rod and all the hard water, flush it out of the tank, and then fill it with new water. We do this to keep the tank working like brand new. And we do this every 6 months to make sure that we don't have a leak. If you want to see a leak, go check out my other video where I installed the water heater because of a leak. Now I know what you might be thinking. The hot water heater is one of the major appliances in your home, and it can be quite intimidating when you look at it to see, can I do this by myself? And trust me, if I can do it, so can you. The only tools you're going to need for this is a garden hose and a flathead screwdriver. Step 1 of draining your tank is to turn everything off. Start by setting the water heater control panel to the off position. Locate the natural gas valve and turn it off. And shut off the incoming cold water valve. Step number 2 is to drain the tank. Start by opening the hot water on the nearest faucet. Next, grab a garden hose and attach it to the tank drain. Then using a flathead screwdriver, open up the valve and let it drain. If you do not have a floor drain, you may need to empty this out into 5-gallon buckets. And of course, be smart. This is really hot water coming out of here. Probably don't want to touch it. Once your water heater is empty, go ahead and shut off the tank drain valve and disconnect your hose. Now we come to our last step, which I'm going to call turning everything back on. Start by making sure the controller is off. Do not try to light the pilot before the tank is full of water. If you do, you'll ruin your tank and who knows what else kind of problems. Go ahead and turn on the cold water. Right after you turn on the cold water, go to the furthest away faucet and turn on the hot water. Once the hot water heater is full of water and the line is pressurized, you'll see water start to come out of the hot water line. At this point, I would recommend you go open all the other hot water lines to make sure all the air is flushed out of those as well. Now go ahead and turn your natural gas back on. Then the next part comes turning it on. Every water heater tank should have instructions on how to light. I'm right here on the tank itself. So read these instructions carefully and follow them for your specific hot water tank. You'll even find some instructions on the controller itself. Press and hold the knob in the pilot position. Press the igniter button until the pilot lights. Release the knob when the light starts blinking. Now I found out that if you read the directions that this can take up to 90 seconds. So put the controller in pilot and press the ignition button several times until you start seeing the light flash blue. You guys hear that rumble? I just turned it to hot. The pilot light status is blinking blue, which means that it's a normal operation. You can see the pilot light on there. Now it's really roaring. It means it's heating the water. This will come back, well, maybe not back down here, but we'll test the water in probably a half hour to an hour to see if it's gotten warm. 45 minutes later. And there it is. You'll just have to trust me. I've got hot water running now. That was about 40-45 minutes or so. I mean, it's not scalding hot by any means, but it's warm. I'd take a shower in that. Probably not a bath, but it'll get warmer. So how can you keep it running great? There's a couple things you can do. The first thing is to drain your tank every 6 months. You do that every 6 months, it should get the sediment buildup in your tank and flush it out. That's one way to keep your tank from early deterioration on the inside. Another thing you're going to want to do is to replace the anode rod that sits inside the tank. The anode rod is a piece of metal that kind of sacrifices itself, so it will deteriorate without it eating your water tank itself. And you should replace the anode rod every 3 to 5 years. Probably to be safer, 3 years is the best. And let me show you where that anode rod is on the top of the water heater. Now they don't put it in a nice, easy, convenient place. We're going to pretend that my basement is finished and that's a solid wall there. The anode rod sits back here. To get that out, you're going to need a 1 1/16 socket. And this is a deep well socket that I have to replace the anode rod in my trailer water heater. And that's just going to stuff down the hole like this. And of course, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, you'll be able to pull that anode rod out and then put the new one back in and tighten it up. Following these simple maintenance steps will prolong the life of your water heater and keep your water heater producing warm water for many years to come. Because let's be honest, you don't want to have to replace this thing every other year. Thanks for joining me today. Hopefully this helps you in draining your hot water heater. And remember, subscribe. Subscribe.